You're listening to
They're gonna call it a hard foul. They're gonna call it a hard foul.
Know-it-all listeners, excuse me today. It's your boy Tate in the building. Got a little bit of a swole face, dealing with an infection, so I don't look my typical handsome self. That's why. But thank you guys for joining us on the Know-It-Alls channel. This is an episode of That's Rather Cavalier and the Central Division Showdown. Tonight we have a couple of the FFSN basketball personalities. And June does the Detroit Lions, and him and B. Foss do everything in Detroit. They've been on the channel before, so you know them. And we have our boy Quiggs in the building. He does the Boston Celtics podcast for FFSN. We're going to have a discussion. The show was originally going to be just a preview between the Celtics and the Cavs, who play tomorrow night. But then, I said, the Pistons got their 8th win. I thought it was a surprising loss for the Celtics. And I said, June, why don't you come on with us, man? And you and Quigg, let us know what happened last night in that game, man. So, yeah, we're just going to jump in from there. You guys tell a little bit about yourselves, about your shows, what you got going on, and we'll start hooping.
You want me to go first, or
let Quiggs go first?
Yeah, for sure.
I appreciate it. And Tate, you look very handsome. Still, even with the swole face, I must say.
He knows that.
Hey, me and my brother, we started a podcast during COVID as a way to stay connected on the Celtics. We both love basketball. Spent my whole life around the game. Coached at a high school level. I officiated for a long time. Played, for a while. And I've always just been a huge Celtics fan. Something that just kind of took off for us, and we kept doing. And happy to be part of the Fan First Network family now. That's been a lot of fun. And psyched to be able to talk and preview the Cavs, give a review of the Pistons game. And June, I didn't even know you were coming on, and this Team USA shirt is a Larry Bird shirt. And so, they're throwing back to the old Celtics Pistons rivalry a little bit. And, in honor of when I first fell in love with the Celtics was really during the heyday of that great basketball rivalry.
Man, you guys don't look that old. I know June. I know about his age, but so I know he was around for the Celtics Pistons rivalries back in the late 80s.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but Quiggs, you too, man?
Yeah, I was a kid. I'm 45, so but that's when I got into it. I fell in love with Larry Bird, the Big Three, what was going on. First championship I remember was really 86. So 84 kind of, but 86 I remember. And then I'll never forget the steal at the Garden by Bird. When the Pistons thought they were going to steal that one and win the series. Not to throw salt on the wound from way back when. You guys got us the following year, but
40 years ago, almost 35, I think.
Yeah, it's so 87. What's that? That's
38 years ago.
38 years, a long time ago. Yeah. So.
Man, yeah, those were some great rivalries back in the day.
Yeah, the best.
Yeah, and the Pistons had to go through the Celtics to get it on, to sit on the throne, right?
Yeah.
And then the Bulls had to go through the Pistons. That's how it was back in the day.
Yeah.
So, June, what's up with you, man?
Hey, what's up, man? My name is June. I am one half of Bleachers, the speakers. My co-host, B. Foster, couldn't be here, but you can catch us on.
Why couldn't Foss be here?
I don't want to speculate, but he does a lot of things that nobody knows that he does. I don't know where he works. We are friends. We're more than just co-hosts. That is my brother. I do not know what he does for a living. I don't know how much money this guy has. I know he has of it.
I know what he's doing tonight. He's sitting floor seat at the Pistons Nuggets game.
No, he read the messages wrong. You sent the message last night asking for tomorrow. He thought it was today asking for tomorrow.
Oh, so they play the Nuggets tomorrow.
play the Nuggets tomorrow. So
Okay.
he has floor seats tomorrow.
Oh, that's great.
That's just how Foster wrote. He's the type of person that would just he's a Tigers fan and he'll just catch a flight and go watch them play in Minnesota on a regular day on a win. I guess I'll just fly to Minnesota and watch Tigers play. He does that. And I'm not lying. Anyway,
Yeah.
we are Bleachers and Speakers. That's our YouTube channel. Our basketball show is Post Game Podcast, which I'm representing tonight. We also do Detroit Lions football. That is Bleachers and Speakers. It's this crazy thing with FFSN. They won't let you have two entities under one name. So Bleachers and Speakers was the original show for Detroit Lions football. We wanted to do Pistons basketball, so they made us make another name, which is Post Game Podcast. We also have Corner to Copa, which is Detroit Tigers baseball, and that's hosted by B. Foster and our homie Coach. Coach is a Philadelphia Eagles fan, unfortunately, and they won. So I just wanted to throw a little shot at him while we're out here. But but yeah, this is what we do. We're working on a Red Wings show. Hopefully we can get some people to help us out with that. And that's about it, man.
I think do the Red Wings play in the outside stadium game this weekend? I know it's Columbus, and I think the Red Wings.
I think they play Columbus in the shoe.
Yeah, in the shoe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be interesting. I don't watch hockey. I've been to a couple of Caps games, and the energy in the arena when watching hockey is super exciting and exhilarating.
If you've never been to a game, and I don't care if you're a hockey fan or not,
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You have to go treat yourself to a hockey game. I swear you'll like it.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's a great sport to be in person.
Yeah, even if you don't understand it, you're going to love the action.
Mm-hmm.
The excitement that's in the arena, you're going to love it.
Completely agree. So, fellas, man, let's just jump into some hoop. Let's allow me to pull up the Eastern Conference standings as they are right now.
Hey, I thought Detroit last night was fantastic, and they got a great young roster. I thought last night was more about the Pistons and the Celtics in a lot of ways. I thought after midway through the third quarter, the Celtics didn't really want to be there anymore, and that's been kind of a theme with them this season, depending on the game and the matchup. But I love their young roster. I think Cade Cunningham is fantastic. I think he's going to be a better player than Anthony Edwards. Sir Thompson, I know I'm screwing up his first name, but him and his brother, just fantastic. When you are one of the best athletes on the floor in the league with the greatest athletes in the world, that really says something about you. And I think that kid Thompson is exactly that. He gave Tatum all he could handle, I thought, for most of the night. And they, picking up Beasley and Tobias Harris. And I'm not a big Tobias Harris guy, but I think they're good veteran players. And last night, the physicality was just fantastic, I thought, throughout the whole night against the Celtics. And even though it was tied at halftime, I thought that was a lot of luck. The Celtics just hitting a bunch of threes, not even great offense. And the Pistons, I thought, outplayed them for 48 minutes.
I was ready to turn the channel in the second quarter. They was hitting threes like it was nobody's business. Like they couldn't miss. It was from everybody. It wasn't just one person.
Yeah.
It was Derek White. It was Horton. I expect everybody else, but those guys joined the party, and next thing you know, it's 55-55 at half. And
it's a first. So they going into last night, they were 25-1 when they hit 21 plus threes. I think hit 24 last night and lost by 20. So I think it kind of indicates the effort level of the Pistons and also a little bit of the effort level of the Celtics in that game and the other aspects of the game, which
I think
it should be.
I think we also benefited from Jaylen Brown not playing. I'm just going to keep it a buck. The Pistons have had a history of not being able to win games when someone is missing. Dating back to last year, we played Denver here in Detroit, and Joker gets thrown out in the first quarter, and we still lose that game. It was a tight game, but we still lose that game. I think there was a game like I think I'm talking more so last year when the other team is missing a vital piece, we still couldn't get that win. And last night was one of those things where me and Foster were saying we need to win tonight. There's no
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown. If you need to take advantage of that game, and I think that had a lot to do with it. I mean, I know we missed Schroeder, but Schroeder it's not, it doesn't compare because we haven't had Schroeder, and Schroeder's not the player that Jaylen Brown is. So we actually, it's an advantage for us for Jaylen Brown not to be there. And that's one of those games where if you don't have all your starters, we need to win that game.
I agree. Jaylen Brown's, top 20 player in the league. Excellent. Finals MVP last year. All that. I loved. But I think
if Jaylen Brown's top 20, what is Jason Tatum? This is a question we have going around our circle. I'm just curious what your Celtics fan would say.
And I changed my mind about that too, Tate.
I don't know how anyone could argue that he's outside of the top 5. He's this is going to be the 4th straight year of being first team All NBA. There's going to be just 2 guys in the league under 30 that have done it 4 times, and that's him and Luka. He has won a championship. I mean, he really should have been the MVP of the finals last year. He led the team rebounds, points, assists, steals. He is leading them in all those categories this year, and he's playing the best basketball of his life. You can't double him anymore because he's reading what's happening before the action happens. And
his assists have gone way up.
Way up. And that's why the DeAndre Hunter move was so important, because if Cleveland, the recipe was to double him, they were going to get cooked. You need to single coverage Tatum and be physical with him, which doesn't mean success, but it's your best recipe. And so I think, to me, he's a top 5. I kind of look at it, Jokic is 1, and then you can number him how you want after that. But he's definitely a top 5 in my mind. I don't know how you guys do it.
My problem with Tatum is that he doesn't realize how good he is going to the basket. He settles a lot for the step back 3. And if he decides to go to the rack when he wants to, he gets 2 or he gets fouled. He's that good. And I think he settles for jumpers too much. Now he makes a lot of them. So I see why he takes as many as he can, but he's that good going to the basket. I don't think he realizes how good he is going to the basket.
Yeah, he's big and strong. He's physical. He's 6'8", probably more like 6'9". Yeah. He's. I think that has a lot to do with the Celtics philosophy, and he takes to coaching. They want the volume on threes, and they also believe that when he's hitting his off the dribble 3, it unlocks the offense in ways that no other option does. If you have to cover that, once you step to him, he's going to go right by you, or you're going to have to throw 2 at him, and he's going to hit Cornette on the roll or things like that. So I think it's part of the strategy, but I agree with you. At times it gets really frustrating. And he has calmed down on that.
Yeah.
Compared to last year. He's over the past 20, 25 games, it's the best basketball I've ever seen him play.
Yeah. I mean, when he's hot, I wouldn't tell him to change his game. I want him to play like he is, because when he's hot, but he's really good going to the basket. Really good.
Oh, he is.
He's very underrated as far as going to the basket with the ball, but he's a great shooter. He's a scorer. I think he can be more than just a great shooter. He's an all-around scorer.
So June, when we talked about this on our show, it was 4 of us, and 2 of us said Jason Tatum, and 2 of you said Jaylen Brown. Now you said you changed your mind. What made you change your mind since then?
I went back and looked at game tapes, highlights, because what happened was I brought the subject up with a friend of mine, and they pointed some stuff out. So I actually started looking at the highlights and this, that, and other. I started looking at everything. I spent about 2-3 hours, and I was like, "Nah, I'm taking Tatum first." Right. I said Jaylen Brown, but I said no.
You just roll with Tommy. That's all.
I kind of did. I kind of did, but to me, Jaylen Brown is one of my favorite players. So I'm sitting there, you know what I'm saying? Because I followed Jaylen Brown since he was supposed to be he was a top recruit for Michigan. So I had followed him in high school. He chose to go to Cali. So he went to
he's a scholastic guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And he was very good at Cali. And I've been following him ever since. So I was a Jaylen Brown. I do not pay attention. I do not like any Duke players. So when Tatum went to Duke, and it was like,
I'm not a Duke guy either.
So, but so Jaylen, I paid a lot more attention to Jaylen. So I would blame that. I know what Tatum does, but I've been watching, Jaylen Brown since he was in high school. So it's like, so he's one of my favorite players. But if I was to start a franchise, I would pick Tatum over Jaylen Brown. But it's still not an easy choice.
Right. I can agree with that. And Jaylen Brown, when he came out, he's committed to his offensive craft.
Yeah.
He has got so good at offense in his time in the league.
Yeah. Hey,
I was initially the comp for Jaylen Brown. Well, not the comp. My comp for Jaylen Brown. I was hoping the same thing as far as Cleveland goes for Isaac Okoro. Defender, primary, great defender. He can't get the offense. He can't hit open three, so he's not playable in the playoffs. But the defensive chops he has, but he plays himself onto the bench because he can't shoot, can't really score.
Yeah, and I think Jaylen is a hell of a finisher. If he gets the ball on the break, it doesn't matter if he's taking that shot. It's a dunk or he's going to finish.
He's one of the best in the league on transition. And to your point on the offense, early in his career, he was like allergic to dribbling. It was like turnovers all the time. Yeah. But
in that final with Phoenix, he still should have been.
What's that?
In that final with Phoenix, he still should. He looked like he still was allergic to dribbling.
Yeah, he was. But his handle's gone a lot better. He really works. He works, and he's a great guy off the court. He's a role model. He's got his own sneaker that he's pushing out there. He's doing his own has his own line of clothes. He's out there in the community. He speaks at Harvard. I mean, he's if you have a son, you want him to grow up to be like Jaylen Brown. That's the guy you want him to be. But if you're game planning against the Celtics, and I see it every night, the game plan begins and ends with how am I going to stop Jason Tatum?
I agree. Tough question. I mean, but when you said Jaylen Brown's definitely top 20, I would agree with you. But that's why I had to ask you, where do you see Jason Tatum? So there's some separation between them.
Oh, I think there definitely is.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up the standings again, and you guys tell me anything that looks interesting to you, as far as any potential movement you see. The Bulls are going to stay in that play-in, June. To our frustrated Chicago sports fans' chagrin, the Bulls are going to stay in that play-in seed.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
No one loves mediocrity more than the Chicago Bulls.
What sticks out to me is that 4th, 5th, and 6th placed records. They're very, very close. And those look like they could possibly interchange as the games go on. I think it's like 20 some odd games left. There could be a lot of movement between that 4, 5, 6 seed.
Yeah, no, completely agree.
Yeah,
completely agree.
And I think it just two really interesting. I'm kind of tired of the Bucks, but I love the Pacers, the way they play. I love how fast they play. I love the way Rick Carlisle has them going on. Halliburton, I'm a huge fan of. And then the Pistons, and they don't even have. I just realized you guys don't even have Jaden Ivey right now, who's a fantastic young player. I'd love to see that matchup. I'd watch every minute of a 4-5 Pistons Pacers matchup. I think that series would be entertaining as hell.
Yeah, I think it would be, and that's my for sure one one wrong take of this basketball season thus far. When we started the season, I said the Pacers were going to regress, and they have not. You remember me saying that, June?
I remember.
You were almost right. They looked like that at the beginning of the season, but they've come together.
Yeah. Is that sustainable in the playoffs for them? Because last year they Giannis was hurt, Dame was hurt for a game or two. They played the Bucks. That could be a potential matchup too. Still, right now that is it, right? 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely could be, and that would be
go ahead, Quick.
No, I think it is sustainable. It doesn't mean they won't get knocked off in the first round. I think if Brunson doesn't get hurt in Game 7, maybe the Knicks get by them last year. But I don't think the Knicks would have challenged the Celtics in the four. The Celtics swept the Pacers last year, but that felt like a 7-game series. They were winning 3 games late in the fourth quarter, Game 1, Game 3, and Game 4 against the Celtics. And to me, that's a recipe, to beating the Celtics. If I'm the Cleveland Cavaliers right now, and I know all the talk is DeAndre Hunter's there for defense. The thing I like about him even more against the Celtics is that he's good, really good offensive player. Has had some playoff success offensively in Atlanta against the Celtics. I think you got to move quick. I think you got to get into your action quick. I think what has hurt Cleveland over the first 3 games against the Celtics is that they look for the best shot. When early in the shot clock, they'll have a shot available. Or instead of getting into the high screening roll and trying to get Porzingis and Horford on skates, they'll try to make the extra play, the good play that works against 27 of the 28 teams in the league. The Celtics are so long; they want you to keep passing it. They just want to sit in their half court, and they have a lot of trust in what they're going to do. What the Pacers do is they just attack, and they're relentless. And it made that series so difficult last year. And I'm waiting for another team to pick up on that. Not every team's built to do that. Your Cavs are, and I'm interested to see if they're going to play that way. If you try to grind it out defensively against the Celtics, it really doesn't work over a 7-game series. It may get you
right
there, but it won't work over 7 because they're going to find your weakness. You got to try to outscore them, and you got to try to play fast. You have to play fast.
No, I would agree. I can see that. I hadn't thought about it. I'm glad with the acquisition of DeAndre Hunter. I think that last game showed the Cavs we need another piece. We can't keep switching Darius Garland and Max Strus in the 1-1-3 pick and roll. Too small for those guys.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown will bully either one of them, and Drew Holiday's a bull.
Yeah, he
and
is.
You know what I mean. If you get on Tatum, even guys with him, we say he shoots too many jumpers. That step back is a good quality shot, especially mid-range step back.
Yeah, no, they'll find your weakness, and they're really good at it. They'll find Garland, they'll find Sam Harrell when he's out there. They'll find guys like that when they're on defense and take advantage of them. But they have a harder time doing that if you play fast against them. You get out and you score quickly, and then they get a little bit more impatient on the offensive end, trying to match what you're doing, and it has caused them problems. And the Pacers are mocked it. They just talent won out at the end of games is kind of what happened there.
Yeah, sounds like you really know your squad, man.
Yeah, a little bit.
We were talking about JB Bickerstaff and Kenny Atkinson. I believe that was probably backstage as far as the coaching. Yep. Hey, June.
Yes, sir.
JB might have jumped over his coach of the year favorite right now. We talked about it about a week and a half ago, and I said, got to be Kenny Atkinson because JB had the same team last year. Look what Kenny Atkinson's doing with it. But JB also has a 14-win team last year, and he has them plus 18 games right now?
Yeah, it wasn't to diminish what Kenny Atkinson is doing. It's just it's a 14 win season last year. And not only did they, they're doing what they're doing as far as the wins, it's just a different atmosphere within the players. And you know, it's just different. It feels different. You got to remember, Pistons had just hired Monty Williams. He coached 1 year, and it was night and day. Now they did do a bit of a roster overhaul, but at the same time, you got to give JB his props, and it had more so with the turnaround than anything, not diminishing what the Cleveland coach has done.
Well, I think the difference between JB and Monty Williams is just culturally. I mean, JB is more what Detroit is. Is cousin to what the Bad Boys were, a tough, gritty, grinded out team. And I like Monty Williams. He's a nice guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that may have something to do with it. Now, with that, if we're gonna go to break and then come back and talk about the Cavs and Celtics, Quiggs, let me ask you this:
Sure.
Would Boston have reached a championship win if Ime Udoka was still the coach?
Oh, I think so. I think so. I think Ime, like JB, is a great defensive coach, one of the best in the league. Their offense got predictable. I think what Missoula ball, where he's got 4 out and then like a guy like Holiday or White in the dunker spot, and you're able to pull out bigs that are good defensive players the way they're able to do and take advantage of good defensive players. That's really Missoula understanding where the game is going and getting ahead of where the game is going. And you see a lot of teams trying to emulate that now since the Celtics had success.
Thanks for joining us, Aston. Thanks for dropping in. We appreciate you. One of our longtime listeners, listens to us on the Know It All, listens to us on the Steel Curtain Network, where we do a couple podcasts. Claude Bishop, June, and Quiggs. Claude is like our shows and our channels love Claude. Claude's always he makes the show fun, but we actually have a place for Claude because he always says hot takes and crazy things. He says the Lakers will win it all, book it. I think that's still a little crazy right now. I'm not saying they couldn't make a Western Conference final, but still got to have a little more sample size. But we have this place for Claude, and we always send him to what we call the Matrix. So Claude goes into the Matrix at least 3 times any show we do.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy to make such a prediction after a small sample size when Cleveland has done so much throughout the season, right? And you look at where Cleveland is in the Eastern Conference, they're 7 games in front of Boston?
Something
6.5 right now.
Something like that. And it's like they're playing incredible ball. So they make a roster move, and it was, you still have to wait and see how that goes.
Right. No, I agree. Far as the Lakers.
As far as the Lakers concerned, yes.
Yeah, I still think OKC is the best team out west, but my brother agrees with him. My co-host on Hot Foul, he thinks the Lakers are going to the finals, but I still think OKC is the best team out west.
Yeah, I would agree with you, but I mean, I'm a huge LeBron fan all of my days, so I would say, what you say, June?
Nothing.
Ever since he scored 29 in one quarter in the playoffs against some team. That's why some people don't like LeBron.
That's exactly why I don't like it.
But yeah, man.
It's front and center watching that at the Palace. Yes, I don't like him because of that.
You were in the building, right?
Yes.
Yeah, wow. Classic game.
Yeah.
Classic game. But Booby, thanks, man. I'm glad to be back. Appreciate you. Boob says Cleveland versus Oklahoma won't be surprising.
No.
It really wouldn't. But then you got to throw Boston in that mix. And I probably would put Denver over the Lakers right now. But the Lakers, I would say right now, have the 5th best odds in my Vegas book.
Yeah, there's only 2 teams in the East. It's the Knicks aren't good enough to go anywhere. Carl Anthony Towns is on the floor. You're playing 5-on-4 when he's on defense. He's awful. You know, you could throw away.
Brunson gets cooked too.
He does. I feel like Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum throw away the stats from the Knicks game because anyone can score 40 against when Carl Anthony Towns is on the floor. He's that bad. He has the worst defensive rating for an individual player in the entire NBA, and it's not close. And that's how terrible he has been on defense this year. But yeah, I think it's the Celtics, the Cavs, and then out west it's the Thunder, Nuggets. And yeah, the Lakers will probably be the third team out there right now. I don't think the other ones are true championship contenders out west.
Okay, I can dig it. So, fellas, real quick, we'll take our first and only break of this show. We're gonna come back and on the other side and talk about the Cavs Celtics, and we'll just talk that out about what we think about this game tomorrow. Is it important? I think it's probably more important to Cleveland than it would have been Boston, but Boston lost last night, so maybe it turns up a notch too. We'll talk about that on the other side. If you watching on YouTube, we're not going anywhere. If you listen on audio, we have to take a quick break here from our partners and advertisers, and we'll be right back after this. And we're back on the That's Rather Cavalier podcast, along with the Central Division Showdown team and the homie Quigs, Boston Celtics Hard Foul podcast on FFSC. Check it out. Show the homie support. It's our first time working together, but seems like he's real knowledgeable, Claude, so you probably don't like him the best. You always say me and Big G don't know nothing. that's a lot of the reason he goes to Matrix all the time, too. But yeah, so man, let's go ahead and get into the game tomorrow night. It's in Boston. Boston's at home tomorrow. Quiz, how do you see this game? Is it important to the Pistons? I mean, to the Celtics now, or how do you see it?
Yeah, these games have been important. There's been games this year where they haven't taken seriously, as opposed to last year where they wanted to kill everybody. They played down to their opposition, or a team's given them their best shot, and that's kind of happened over a course of 82 games, a whole bunch, that they just say forget it. But when it's a marquee matchup, whether it's been the Cavs or the Knicks or you name the team that's, kind of rises to their level, they have come to play, and they've usually showed out pretty well. So I expect them to be ready to go. There's no better scene than a Friday night game at the Garden in Boston. The crowd's going to be into it. The crowd's always into it. They always sell out, but it'll be a fun night. They'll be ready to go. I think the game's more important to Cleveland, but this isn't a game where the Celtics won't take it seriously. They'll be ready to go.
Right. I see it. I think it's important to Cleveland. I mean, with the new acquisition, it's your last chance against Boston. Next time you see them after tomorrow would be somewhere in the playoffs, wherever it is.
Yeah.
It'd be somewhere in the playoffs. I think they want to prove to themselves that we can beat them. Especially with the acquisition of DeAndre Hunter, Ty Jerome has been balling out. I mean, man, that guy's been really good. And I wanted to say that about people. I mean, we take for granted, I think, that some of these players that are good college players can be good professionals. I mean, you have some of them that fall off, but I think about Garza getting big minutes for Minnesota, 2-time player of the year, I believe, in college, at least one time, is a big factor in their team. Zach Edey was projected not to do much. I mean, they're doing pretty well. He's a starting center next to Jared Jackson. They're a problem.
And they're a good team. They're a very good team. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ty Jerome was a player of the year candidate the year that they won the national championship in 2019. So we can't just overlook these. Some of these guys have talent. It may not be the athletic talent you want to see when you're a high end kind of what do you call it?
Marquee
A high
type
end.
guy,
Say it again. I'm
like
sorry.
like a blue chip type guy. Is that?
Yeah, like a blue
Yeah,
chip type guy. Right.
yeah.
But they all know the game. They all have a role that they can play, and I think we have to consider some of those guys. For Cleveland, that's Ty Jerome. Like I said, Zach Edey and the kid from Minnesota from Purdue.
Ty
Also, I
Jerome's
just said his name.
he's gonna get paid next year.
He is.
He's gonna get paid somewhere. And what a great contract Cleveland gave him this year. He's been a great player for them off the bench.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
one
agree.
guy, Donovan Mitchell. What was he? He was the 28th pick in the draft, right? He wasn't highly
I think
touted coming up.
I think he was 13. He was like
He was the 13.
13 or
Okay,
14.
I thought he was high. So my bad. And
Yeah,
he kills the Celtics, man. That's the one guy that you can make a list of a bunch of players who you think might do what in a game like tomorrow. The one guy I'm positive for Cleveland that will show up and show out is Donovan Mitchell. Since he's even back in Utah, he has always absolutely murdered the Celtics. I don't know what,
right.
and it's a lot of times it's against good defense, and the dude just makes play after play after play. He's got to be an All NBA player this year. He better be with the Cleveland's record and the way they're playing.
Yeah, his numbers are down, but that's because he's taking a step back. I think Kenny Atkinson is doing a great job of saving his players. He's not Tom Tibbsing his players.
Well, that's good.
You know. Yeah. So I think will Jaylen Brown be back tomorrow?
I don't
Yes, he
know.
will.
I don't know. So he's listing his question. So the line came out as 3.5. The Celtics 3.5 point favorite, which Vegas basically says that means that they're even on a neutral's floor. And then it went down to 2.5, and the Celtics injury report came out. And I would tell you, Jaylen Brown's worth probably a point in the line. So the fact that Vegas had that drop down to 2.5, I wonder if he's listed as questionable. I wonder if they know something we don't in terms of him playing or not. And then Missoula's comments on him were along the lines of, he's a tough guy. Sometimes we have to slow him, put the wraps on him ourselves.
Yeah.
So my guess is he wants to play. Will they let him play? I think is a whole other question.
Right, June.
I mean, he took a knee to the thigh, so that's painful as hell, as you guys know.
Right. June. What do you think about this matchup from an outside perspective?
When Cleveland plays anybody, I usually give them a nod, like they're favored to me. So it's like the team has to beat Cleveland, right? But seems like when they play Boston, Boston. I don't know what is the record, because the games I've seen,
2-1 Boston.
2-1 Boston. Okay, I know.
I think all the games have been close. I mean, now granted, in one, maybe two, Boston jumped out by 20. Cleveland was able to come back by the end, but I think they spent too much energy trying to get back in it. They have to keep it in the pocket and keep it close throughout. They don't want to have to come back from a 20-point deficit.
And it just seems like Boston turns it up a notch when they play Cleveland every time. And it's like, it's for me. Now, I don't know how a 7-game series would go, but these games, I give the edge to Boston.
Yeah, I do too.
Just because of what's been going on 2 out of the 3 games there. I think the Boston has just has another gear when they play Cleveland, it seems like. And I think everything depends on what Derek White is doing. When he adds to what's going on, when he's on and everybody else is on, Boston is unbeatable. And it seems like Derek White has stepped up in those games versus Cleveland.
Right. No, Derek White has. He's like Shaq said, he's one of the major contributing others.
Yeah.
He's like the other. You bring Pritchard off the bench and the big guy. What's the big guy's name?
Cornette.
And you
got Cornette. He always does well against Cleveland.
Yeah.
He's had a good year.
Cornette didn't play last night either. So I was happy.
No, he might not play tomorrow either. he's been out for personal reasons, so I'm assuming he had a kid or something like that. So he's listed as questionable along with and so isn't Holiday. Holiday's listed as questionable too. And he hadn't been on the injury report. So
Well, that's why the line went down. All those players.
That's why the line went down.
Right.
I want to ask you something, Tate.
Go ahead.
So in the last game that these two teams played, Evan Mobley is my defensive player of the year now that Wemby's out. I think he's great. I think he's going to be even better as he is in the years to come. My brother, and I think he's right. He's going to be an All NBA guy at some point in his career.
Hey, June's heard that before. Go ahead.
So but what was interesting to me is he was so ineffective the last time these two teams played that he didn't play the last 5 minutes of the game. And he's a pretty good shooter, but the Celtics said, we'll give you that 3-point shot because we don't think you're going to take it enough. And he didn't. He passed up that shot quite a bit in the last game. He's not a willing enough shooter. And then I thought Porzingis gave him a lot of issues inside to get his offense going with his length. And now, so my question to you, because I've watched a lot of Cavs, but not nearly as much as you have, was that just a one-off, or was that Porzingis and the Celtics giving him fits, and is that something to worry about going forward? I think it's a one-off, but I wanted to hear from you.
I think it's a one-off, a combination of both. I think he probably was like, at that time, maybe 5 games back from a calf injury, I think.
Okay.
I mean, so he wasn't fully in his routine. I think the All-Star nod has given him confidence. He was asked All-Star weekend who he sees as the best 2 players in the NBA in the next 5 seasons. He said Wemby and myself. So he's feeling himself. He's feeling confident, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I see him do stuff like the other day when they played Memphis. That game, Donovan Mitchell had 33 and 6. Ty Jerome had 25, 5 and 4. He balled out. That was the first game he balled out. Evan Mobley had 25, 13 and 8, and it was quiet.
Yeah,
it was quiet. That's what he does. He might not be. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, and you don't realize it, but he's impacting the game so much on the other end that he's more valuable than Mitchell and James in a lot of ways.
Right.
Jerome. I'm sorry, not James. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I said when the playoffs come, Evan Mobley has to be the second best player. 1B to Donovan Mitchell's 1A.
Yeah.
You're gonna get something from Darius Garland, though Boston D's him up. Drew Holiday and White are a troublesome matchup for him. But I think Jared Allen, if he comes to play, he can be a factor against Porzingis defensively because he has the ability, both the bigs do, to step out and guard Porzingis out there and switch off if need be on smaller players. So yeah, Evan Mobley is ascending to me right now before our eyes. And like right now, because he plays for Cleveland, I would say he's my favorite player.
Sure.
In the NBA. Yeah. I mean, just because I've always thought, we talked about a couple of years ago on the show, would I trade Evan Mobley for anybody at the time under 25? So the only person I might consider at that time was maybe Ant Edwards.
Mm.
And not thinking Dallas would ever get off Luka. That wasn't even a consideration, but we know different now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I'm a fan of Mobley, big fan. I think in this game we're looking at a close game. And I think Boston's going to be at home, and that's when they beat us the first time in Boston was during the tournament, the Cup tournament.
Yeah.
Then we beat them in Cleveland. Then they beat us in Cleveland this last time, like 2 or 3 games before All-Star break. So, and that's the game I think we had to make a decision to get DeAndre Hunter because you need somebody that has size and wingspan and can give a challenge to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, because those guys will just pick who they switch on to, and it was usually Strus and Garland. And I'm not saying they're defensive liability; they play with effort and stuff, but against those 2 all NBA type players, it's not a good matchup.
I tell you what, too. I know it's at home for the Celtics tomorrow night, but over the last 3 seasons, there's just been time after time during this run that they've had that they've let the guy down at home. They've been a better road team. They've been a better road team this year, a much better road team this year. They're the best road team, and they've been a historically great road team over the playoffs over the last 3 seasons at home. I don't know what it is because it should be a great home court advantage at Boston Garden and whatever, but they've struggled a bit. So, an opportunity to maybe sneak one out tomorrow night for Cleveland.
Yeah, I find that Boston sometimes, I don't think they will tomorrow, but they play with their food sometimes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I think that's part of it. Speaking of which, I'm anxious to see that Celtic documentary that's coming out next week.
Oh, yeah, you and me both, man.
Yeah, I'm
I
looking
can't
forward
wait.
to that.
I can't wait. 8 parts. 8 parts. This is great.
Is it 8 parts?
8 parts every Monday night. Yeah. So this going into June. Hopefully the Celtics play into June and it'll work out great for me.
Hopefully they play until Memorial Day, somewhere around there. But yeah, so okay, score prediction, Quigs, for tomorrow night. Just who wins? Is it a close game? I mean, it's not football. We might give a score prediction, but how do you
Yeah,
see it playing out?
I think it's definitely going to be a close game. They've all been a close game so far. Um, I I guess if the Celtics are healthy, I think they'll win a close one. I think if they're down a couple guys, like the injury report is saying, I think then the stress of having to cover Donovan Mitchell really becomes a problem, and I think Cleveland would have the edge. I mean, I think if they're down a couple guys, they're just going to target guys like Al Horford out of the pick and roll all night long, and with the limited bench, that's going to be a problem.
Okay. June, what do the Pistons do against the Nuggets tomorrow? When your boy Foss will be courtside reporting for the post game podcast.
We haven't had much luck with the Nuggets, but the Pistons are playing at an all-time high confidence-wise. I think it's going to be a good game. I don't know. Joker is just something else, man. And
Yes.
I think we're going to compete very well, though, regardless of the outcome.
I like that. The Lakers held him 12 points the other night. Of course, he got his triple double, but held him 12 points.
He won't have 12 points tomorrow night. he got that low scoring game out of his system.
What did he only have 7 shots in that game? That was insane.
He didn't take a lot of shots that game at all. And I was here like, what is he doing?
Yeah, that will never happen.
No.
He had the Joker stopper on him. Richie Haramuchi, what's his name?
Yeah,
Richie,
I know you're talking about.
Rudy. Yeah, that guy.
Rui.
Rui, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And question for both of you. As a player, what is Cade Cunningham's ceiling? Top 10, top 5, top 20? His ceiling.
Do you want me to go first?
Go ahead.
I think he's potentially. We're talking ceiling. Why not top 5? I think he is a fantastic young player. I said at the top of the pod, I think he's going to end up being a better player than Anthony Edwards in the long run. I think his playmaking ability is already elite. I think he needs to become a little bit of better shooter off the dribble, but his body type is like Paul Pierce. I mean, that's how big and strong he is, and you don't realize it until you watch him live. I love him. He's one of my favorite players in the league. The Pistons, they did themselves well by drafting him. They really did.
They did. And that draft, I wanted them to take Evan Mobley. So maybe he slipped down to us. I mean, Jalen Green's been balling too, right? He's been balling.
Yeah. But he's not even he's not in Cage universe, in my opinion.
No, not at all. No, I'm not suggesting that. He's what he needs to be for the Rockets right now. Yeah. So, June, what do you think about the ceiling?
A ceiling is top 5. Right now, I would say he's top 15, maybe top 10. Not sure, but ceiling top 5. I think one of the things he's gotten better at is getting his teammates involved. I don't know if it's because he has a better nucleus around him as opposed to last year, but I'm more impressed when he gets a bunch of assists. We know he can
Yeah.
score the ball, but when he those lobs and getting those making those passes. Now, first he was a turnover machine. Last year, he would average 6 or 7 turnovers a game, and he's cut them down in some games to where you don't even realize he's turned the ball over some. So he was a turnover. He just kept turning the ball over last year. He's a little bit more careful with the ball. One thing I can say, if the defender is a good defender and has long arms, they usually take the ball from him once or twice a game. That happens. You've seen Daniels do
That
it.
happened, yeah.
It just he just dribbles too high, but he'll learn from that. You know,
Especially when you have high usage and the ball's in your hand. That's going to happen.
yeah. So, but he's turning the page, and I think this is one of those years where he's learning. He doesn't have to do so much, and the players are starting to see, if I get to the right spot, he'll give me the ball. So, definitely ceiling top 5. There's no question, and I doubted that in years prior.
Right. Well, I agree with you. I think his ceiling is top 5. I think he slots in somewhere around 3 or 4, right behind Wemby and Evan Mobley, right? So I think he is definitely top 5 ceiling. He's a hell of a player, man. You guys have somebody to build around for the next 10, 12 years.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, I think I don't think this is a one-off for you guys. I think you guys are trending in the right direction. Now, it may happen that JB gets into a place and then they need somebody to take him over the top.
Yeah.
But let JB do what he does right now.
Yeah, one thing I will say is that, in the past, it's happened to where Rick Carlisle got us where we needed to be, and Larry Brown took us where we wanted to go. So
Right.
it could be
I
that.
remember that.
It could be that type of situation. And also, Detroit, as of lately, has not been, well, I can say history. Since, I'm going to go back to where Isaiah was here. We haven't been a hotbed for free agents. Like, we don't get a lot of free agents that come here and that actually do well. Malik Beasley is an exception to that rule, but usually we can't get players here. So when you draft someone like Cade, you know what I'm saying, you have to be very fortunate in the draft. You get somebody like Oscar Thompson as well. If you can get players like that in the draft and keep them, you know what I'm saying, that builds the nucleus here, because we haven't had much luck in free agency. Like I said, Malik Beasley is an exception to the rule. Like, he was one of those players when I wasn't too high. When they said they were signing, I'm like, it's just Malik Beasley. And you see what he's doing this year. So,
I see. Go ahead.
yeah, it's just like when you get someone like Cade, he's one of those people that you draft and you keep, and they've already given him an extension, and I expect Supermax at this pace.
Yeah, no, definitely. At least, I mean, he got the rookie max last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. I mean, because I don't see Detroit wanting to get off of him. He's in much better shape than Luka's ever been. So I don't think they have the concerns about how he's going to work, what kind of shape he's going to be in, injury, any of that stuff.
And now
I saw
one more thing though, and the thing is, going back to JB Bickerstaff, they've made it a place to where at least they're saying, we want to be here. There was players that was here before that wanted out of here. We couldn't even trade for Zach LaVine last year because he opted to have surgery instead of get traded here. We couldn't keep people here or get people here. Now you got people like Malik Beasley going into Trajan Langdon's office saying, hey, don't trade me. I want to stay here. So that hasn't happened in a long time.
I think that's big where JB Bickerstaff is at, because that kind of the culture changed in Cleveland between JB and Kobe Altman. Their whole thing when recruiting players, acquiring players, we want players that want to be in Cleveland.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're never trying And there was all the questions about Donovan Mitchell, but he eventually ended up signing and staying with Cleveland.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Darius Garland's already signed to his max. Evan Mobley's rookie max starts next year. They gave Jared Allen a fair contract, and he's making like $20 million a year starting next year. And I think that's the one tradable asset that maybe they get off. They feel like they need to make a move, but he's meshed so well that those two bigs have learned to play together. So, last thing I'm gonna say, June, I saw some of your post game podcasts about Grant Hill,
Oh yeah, that was player profile on Grant Hill.
player profile on Grant Hill.
Yeah.
Is Grant Hill better than Vince Carter?
Man, you're gonna put me on the spot. Is Grant Hill better than Vince Carter?
Is the only reason Vince Carter could proceed to be better because of his longevity and Grant Hill's injury?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I if it was a fifth, but if Grant Hill stays healthy, there would be no question what Grant Hill would have been. I
Right.
think that foot injury that he got here and he took it with him to Orlando, he wasn't the same player. So I have to say Vince Carter. I give Vince Carter the nod.
Okay. Well, what are your thoughts on that one, Quiggs?
I agree. I think, when Grant came into the league, he was potentially going to be the face of the league for quite a few years. And
Yeah.
then he had that foot injury, and didn't work out with him and Penny Hardaway, Tracy McGrady down there in Orlando. And it just, it was unfortunate. I loved Grant Hill. I loved the way he played.
Yeah.
He would have
Me
been a
too.
great fit in today's NBA. So would have Vince Carter. Vince Carter was fabulous too. Outside of the season, he quit on Toronto. But yeah,
Right.
no, two good players, but Carter had the better career, no doubt.
Yeah, they
Right.
put Grant Hill at point guard when he got here. Now he played small forward at Duke, and he did help bring the ball up some, but they had a backcourt at Duke the whole time he was
Bobby Hurley.
Bobby
Yeah.
Hurley was the ultimate point guard. He didn't have to bring the ball much, but when they got him, when Detroit drafted him, they put him at point next to Joe Dumars, and it worked to his advantage. I never would have thought that, but he averaged 19 his first year, and he never looked back. I think he averaged 19 and 6 his first year, his rookie year, and he was rookie of the year with Jason Kidd. They both shared that award. So,
Right. Yeah, Grant Hill was a beast. And
yeah.
I agree with you guys as far as the resume and career goes, but as just a basketball player minus the injury, Grant Hill probably would be top 10 player all time if he played a healthy career.
Yeah.
But so my real quick on the game, I'm gonna say it's a close game. I think it's gonna come down to if Donovan Mitchell outperforms Jason Tatum and Evan Mobley gives him what he can. Don't have to be 30 points. Don't have to be 15 rebounds. Just impact the game defensively. Get what you can get. And I think that's the recipe for Cleveland to try and take that game tomorrow.
Hey, that's a matchup I'm watching. I'm watching the Evan Mobley stuff tomorrow. That's the most interesting part of the game to me. He struggled so terribly in the last game. I'm interested to see how it looks tomorrow night with him.
Yeah. All right, fellas. Well, Quiggs, June, go ahead and plug yourself, plug your shows, and Quiggs, it was great having you, man. I'd love to have you back. Next time we play the Celtics, we want to talk about the overall NBA, and now that you and June have a knowledge of each other, maybe I'll do the Pistons and Celtics play anymore this year.
I don't think so.
No, they played 4 times. The Celtics won the first 3, so
We've had enough. We've had enough.
I'd love to come on again, guys, and I on either show, and maybe we do something right before the playoffs, the 3 of us, and we kind of break down the NBA and how this thing's going to shake out. Anyone that wants to listen, if they're going to call it a hard foul, join me and my brother Mike. We try to keep it light and fun, but I'm a nerd. I can't help it, guys. I just nerd out on basketball, and so I go down roads maybe sometimes that are too nerdy for people, but That's how I do it.
It's a judge-free zone.
There we go.
Yeah, it is. And Jim, who hosts the CDS next?
Me.
Tate did it last week. You?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So if not the next week, a week from Monday coming, I'll bring you on just so you can meet the other guys on the Central Division Showdown and stuff. And we'll just go from there, man.
Yeah, it'd be dope.
Yeah. We have a good time. And Pay, the Mr. Fine that you saw earlier backstage.
Will he be there?
He's not producing, so there's no telling.
Yeah. So it's not a guarantee.
Yeah. So man, fellas, great show. I really enjoyed chopping up with you guys, talking some basketball, talking Pistons. I mean, really, Pistons hadn't beat the Celtics last night. We're talking about 3 of the hottest teams in the league, right? Really, we are.
Yeah.
Because they ended their 8-game winning streak or 7-game winning streak.
6, I think. And yeah, so I think 6, and the Pistons were on to 7 last night. I think Pistons are 8 now, right? Do I have that right?
Pistons are 8.
Yeah,
Cavs are 8 right now.
Yeah. And the Lakers have won a bunch too.
Yeah.
We've had our longest winning streak since 2007, 2008.
I saw that.
That's amazing.
That's crazy.
That's amazing.
That's 17 years. Yeah. Who was on those teams?
That was Chauncey Billups.
That was Chauncey Billups still there.
Still 2007, 2008?
He might have been still there. Yeah, you got to remember, we went to 3 or 4 conference championships after that. We won in 2004, and we lost to San Antonio in 2005. And then it was versus Cleveland the next 2 years, at least.
Then you guys lost to the Celtics in 08.
Yeah.
In the conference finals. And the
That's
Celtics beat Cleveland in the second round that year. That was a LeBron James Paul Pierce game in Game 7.
This is going to rub in 17 years ago. It hurt, huh, Quigs? For both of us. But yeah, man. So go ahead and say what you got to say. We're going to get on out of here. And yeah, we'll close it like that. Thank you guys for joining.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So nothing you want to say? You said it all at the beginning, right?
Yeah. Subscribe to Bleachers Speakers on YouTube. Check me and Foster out. You can check out our material there, and go from there. And when you check out the material, make sure you hit the like button, share. Keep us in the algorithm. You can follow us on all the podcast aggregators. It's Post Game Podcast, FFSN in your search. Those are platforms like Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts. Just make sure you hit that notification bell. And so when we drop content, you will get an alert, download those episodes, erase them, download them again.
See, Claw's not the only one that goes in the Matrix. my boy Rob, Lightfoot Rob, you about to go to Claude land.
Gosh.
Hey, man, this is what our people that check us out always say stuff like this, man.
Hubert Davis, that's a name for the past.
He has to be a Tar Heel. He has to be.
Probably so. That's a good take because I can see Pay saying the same thing. That's for you, Rob. So, Quigs, anything you want to close out saying, man?
Follow us on YouTube. They're going to call it a hot foul. And everything that he just said about his podcast, we did the same thing. So that same thing. And, make sure that everyone gives Tate his love because he's running a great show over here. And I can't appreciate the time that you gave me today.
Appreciate it, man. We'll definitely have you back, man. I appreciate knowledgeable people and people that have good takes because I do a lot of these jokers, man, that have some crazy takes in the live chat and on shows. So, we always welcome a good, some good, solid, practical takes.
Hey,
so, yeah.
I try.
With that being said, for myself and Quigs, the homie June, and other Central Division Showdown folks, I had this graphic, never brought it up, so that's yesterday's win.
Thanks.
We'll go out with that one. hopefully I have a similar one for the Cavs tomorrow. But yeah, so we're gonna get out of here, man. Thanks everybody. Tune in Monday to the Central Division Showdown.
Absolutely.
On Bleachers and Speakers on Monday.
Yes.
And we'll go from there. So and tune into the Know It Alls podcast Sundays at 6. You guys know how that goes down. And we'll talk to everybody and the homies tomorrow on Steel Curtain Network and Fans First Sports Network. So yeah, so from that's all I got to say right now. And appreciate the fellas for jumping on. And we'll see you next time when we see you. Peace.
Right. Yeah.